Good morning. It's great to see all of you here. I wish mothers in the congregation happy Mother's Day, and also if you're on Channel 13 worshiping with us, I wish you happy Mother's Day also. I invite you to stand and greet one another. I invite you to introduce guests or make announcements at this time.
Judge Wine, and we're glad to have my Aunt Gail Garwick here from Idaho. She's here for Doris's celebration.
Good morning, Celeste Carlson here. On behalf of the youth team, I wanted to alert you to the flowers if you did not see them coming in. Aren't they beautiful? So we would love for you to participate and help the youth by purchasing some flowers. They're by donation, so come down and check those out after the service. Also, wearing another hat, thank you to those who helped Bryce and I over the weekend. We're getting ready to move next weekend, and so we will be starting Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, and we'll be between 1204 and 1304 South Chestnut. So you won't go far, and you'll probably see a bunch of people helping. So we would love to have any help that is available, and I'll have lunch provided for you. And also, thank you for your prayers for Bryce this week. For those of you who did not hear, he had a pacemaker put in earlier this week, and we are very thankful that he is here today. So, thank you.
Ruth Howell here. I'm happy to have my daughter and granddaughter from Texas, and the baby's in the nursery.
Thank you. I'm Doris Kopic, and I'm very happy to introduce my great nephew and his wife from New Zealand, Simon and Christine. Please stand. And they're Simon and Christine Wright, W-R-I-G. Anyway, fantastic. just it's a long ways down there, folks, I'll tell you.
I'm Jean Hendricks, and one of the reasons these people came from halfway across the globe is to celebrate Doris's 90th birthday this afternoon. So again, please come. You're all invited, and we'll hope to have a great celebration for Doris.
Lynn Lichty. I'm in need of another cook to go out to junior high camp. That's kind of a hard week because that's when our Bible school runs, but if there's anybody available to help the other two of us or just to go out and wash dishes, that's always a big help too. It's the 4th through the 10th.
We do have another 90th birthday too. Florence Crago will be 90 tomorrow. So Florence, if you're watching, we wish you happy birthday.
I got a call this morning that Ilana Moyer wasn't able to be here, but she wanted to take this time to have you look in the bulletin and see that her reception is Saturday, May 20th at 2 p.m. in the church social room, and she wanted to invite all of you to be here, but she got called into work, so I'm doing my job, Ilana. Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry.
Good morning. My name is Kendra Flory. I am the advancement assistant at McPherson College. And in these 3 weeks leading up to the Passion Sunday for McPherson College, which is next week, May 21, we are hearing from a variety of students at McPherson College. Last week we heard from Ivana Moyer about service, and today I'm excited to introduce Joe Hoffman, who will talk to us about scholarship.
Hi, I'm Joanna Hoffman. I'm a senior communication major at McPherson College. And I just wanted to say thank you for all your support through these last 4 years. Growing up, my learning process was extremely enhanced through the Church of the Brethren, and going to college at McPherson was no different. Besides just getting to have people in this space who really supported me, church members were my professors now, and I got to see them in the community, and it just really has made my experience even better. In one of my classes, I just wrapped up a service learning project where we actually got to work with circles, which I know is really close to the community as well. And so just these sorts of projects and getting to learn with the church and getting the experiences within from this community has been really influential for me. I just wanted to say thank you, and I know on behalf of a lot of other students at McPherson College, we really appreciate just having this second community. Thank you.
Let us continue with our worship.
Please rise in body and spirit and join in the call to worship and opening song. Creator God, you make all things and weave them together in an intricate tapestry of life. Teach us to respect the fragile balance of love and to care for all of your creation. Guide by your wisdom those who have power and authority, that the decisions they may make, life may be cherished, people may be fed, and a good and fruitful earth may continue to flourish. God of all life, you have called us to tend and keep your creation. Give us wisdom and reverence for all people, plants and animals, share this land, and use existence to impossible throne. be seated. A couple of weeks ago, part of the youth team went to Washington and New York City to attend the Christian Citizenship Seminar. I'll be reading the words from Rachel Hendricks, who couldn't be here today to share her experience. I apologize for not being able to share my CCS experience with all of you in person, but I'm happy I still get to tell you about it. CCS was a great experience, and I'm very thankful I got to go. I was aware of the problems that Native Americans faced before I went, but now I feel educated about the topic. I definitely stepped out of my comfort zone when I spoke in our meeting with a staffer representative Marshall. But afterward, I felt glad I contributed to voicing our opinions on the topic. I think my favorite part of the trip was being in the big cities. I'm definitely a city girl. I loved the art that was in the cities. Everywhere I looked, I saw beauty, and I thought that was awesome. In Times Square, I decided to support one of the local street artists, and I bought an amazing piece of work. It was an experience that I will never forget, and I want to thank all of you for helping us all go. We all appreciate your graciousness in giving.
You are invited to consider the ways your daily choices may be negatively impacting people, animals, or nature. And you are invited to consider how you may make new choices that would positively impact people, animals, and nature. Let us pray. All the good gifts come from you, God, and you reveal glimpses of your grace through them. Thank you for inviting us to be partners with you in caring for one another and all of creation. We offer these gifts now, knowing that they come first from you, then from other members of your family of creation, and then from us. Bless these symbols of our awareness that we depend on you and your creation for all that we call ours. Please accept these gifts and our desire to be your partners. In your name we pray, amen.
Will the children please come forward for the children's story?
shining faces. Did we have a great May Day? Oh, I'm sorry, All Schools Day?
Yes.
Everybody have a good time? We did too, as you can see. So it's Mother's Day. So did everybody tell your mom Happy Mother's Day?
Yeah.
Yeah? So how about we do it again on a count of three? Everybody yell real loud, Happy Mother's Day. 1, 2, 3. Happy Mother's Day! All right, good job, good job. Okay. So, I want to tell you a story. About 6 months ago, the wonderful Mrs. Barb Wagner approached me and said, hey, you want to try and do some children's story stuff this year? And I said, yeah, that'd be awesome. It'd be a lot of fun because there's all these awesome faces up here, and I bet I could come up with some really good ideas and we'll have a really good time. So I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I said, okay, mate. And then do you know what I did after that? I completely forgot about it. So last week, I got a text from the wonderful Mrs. Barb Wagner. Says, this is your friendly reminder that you said you'd do children's story this month. Do you know what I did after that? I totally freaked out. I did. I was like, what in the world am I going to say to these kids? They're going to laugh at me. They're going to not like me, except these. They have to like me, because if they don't, I won't feed them. But so I kind of panicked a little bit, and I said, you know what? I kind of need some kind of comfort. I need to calm down. I need to find my calm, happy place. So I started thinking of some ways I could do that. So what are some things that you guys do when you get like really agitated and you need to just calm down? Like I know this one has a special pink blanket that she goes to, right? What do you got? What do you have? Do you have something like that?
Countdown.
That's a good one. I like that one. I've done that a lot. Anybody else have, what do you got?
The bubble.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody, what do you got?
I go to my room.
That's a good happy place too. Well, in this particular instance, I did a couple of things. And the first thing I did was I looked in this thing. Everybody knows what this is, right? That's right. That's kind of why we're here. So did you know that there are so many things in here that are very calming and comforting?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Now I'll share with you like one of my favorites. I go to this one a lot. This is a psalm. It's part of that part of the book, right? And it says, even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for God is with me. His rod and staff, they comfort me. Isn't that awesome? So you read something like that and it's like, okay, I can do anything. So here I am, right? Okay, so you know what else I did? Hold that one. Thank you very much. Y'all have seen me up here with this thing, right? A couple of times, right? Okay, so this is my favorite guitar. And I go to this one a lot when I need some comforting, right? Because play this one and it's very relaxing and it's very comforting to me. This is a guitar made by a company called Larrivee. So his name is Larry. And I got two other guitars. One's named Daryl and the other one's named Daryl. All right. Some of your parents got that joke, but you didn't. So anyway, so I got old Larry out, right? And I started playing. Here, Violet, you hold that microphone. Okay, so you know what that is? That's a C chord for calm. Doesn't that sound very calm and peaceful? Here, strum it. Strum it. Go ahead. Isn't that very calming, right? So I started playing. And that's kind of calming, right? And I started singing a little bit. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. What do you think of that? You guys know that song?
Yeah.
You want to sing it too?
Yeah.
I can do it. You don't want to? Anybody else want to?
I do.
Okay. Anybody else that wants to sing, just belt it out. Here we go. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Hey, that was awesome. Everybody get a big clap. Okay, so everybody will find our calm, happy place. It's a beautiful Mother's Day, right? We're going to have some fun today with our moms. Maybe go out to the park or something like that.
Not mine. She's at work.
Oh, well, when she gets home from work, tell her Happy Mother's Day. All right, that's a good idea. Okay, everybody have a good week, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Please join me in praying the unison prayer. God of the people, you have called us to walk humbly before you and to share in the struggle for justice. Yet we have often fallen short of this call. Today, we come before you asking your Spirit to empower us to be agents of the transformation of the world. Make us a chalice from which all the oppressed can drink of the living waters, serving with humility and seeking reconciliation with you, with creation, and with one another. Amen.
Then the righteous will answer, Lord, when was it that we saw you hungry and gave you food? When did we see you thirsty and give you drink? When was it that we saw you a stranger and welcomed you? When did we see you naked and give you clothing? When did we see you sick or in prison and give you food? And the Lord will answer them. Truly I tell you, just as you do for one of the least of these, who are members of my family, so you do to me. Matthew 25, 37 through 40.
So Cameron and I have just been given the difficult task of summing up CCS in, I believe, 45 seconds-ish? Okay. So I'll give it my go first, and then Cameron will make it look like I can't talk. So, coming away from CCS, what stuck with me was not the numbers and the facts that we learned about the struggles that Native Americans had with food security. It was the experience that I got with humanity as a whole. I mean, we had it on a small level. You can't start out at 4 a.m. and go through a 10-hour trip and not get closer to the people you're traveling with. It just doesn't work that way. So we really grew as a group. But then we got time at CCS to get to know the other participants there and see these people that were so similar to us, that had grown up in the same traditions as us, but we'd never met. And that was amazing. And even on top of that, we were in some of the greatest cities in the nation. We were in New York and DC, and we got to wander around these cities for hours every day. And the people we saw had lived such different lives than the one we'd seen. And it was just a very vibrant culture. There was so much of what humanity has to offer in such a small space. You know, you get on the subway to go to Times Square and there's someone playing their guitar. You walk through Times Square and there's someone with a giant python around their shoulders. It's just never-ending surprises. And then, of course, we did learn about Native Americans and their culture and the struggles that they have every day with finding out where their next meal is going to come from. I think in a little bit, you guys will get to see a video that we saw at CCS that'll expand on some of that and explain in ways that I can't possibly do. But yeah, if I had one takeaway from CCS, it was the sheer volume of human experience that we got to see, and it's something I'll probably never forget.
CCS was, for me, an experience of contrasts. On the one hand, throughout the week, we spent the entire time bonding with the people around us and seeing the sights and sounds of New York City and DC, from the Statue of Liberty to the Art Museum in Washington, DC. And through those experiences, we grew in fellowship and we grew closer together, and there was joy there. But on the other hand, in the midst of all of that, I could also see pain around me, from the man sleeping in Grand Central Station to the woman on the train whose mind was broken and yet no one could help her, to many of the heartbreaking stories that we heard in our sessions every day, many of which spoke to me on a personal level, because I can't help thinking of friends that I've met from the Liebrook Church and the mission there on a Navajo reservation, to friends that I made 2 years ago on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota. We heard so many stories of pain from places like that inspired us to then go on at the end of the week to try to make a difference, to engage with our elected representatives, to advocate for those people who needed our help. And one of those stories that spoke to me on a particularly deep level was the story of the Gwich'in people, who we'll see in just a moment. And these are people who live in northern Alaska in a place called the Arctic Refuge. And their entire way of life centers around a species called the porcupine caribou, who migrate through their lands in this northern area of Nebraska, which is an incredibly ecologically sensitive area. And you'll see people just in a moment talking about the importance of these animals. And of course, this area has been shown to be rich in oil reserves. But in 1980, President Carter put protections over this area so that no one could drill there. But those protections were put in place in such a way that Congress can rescind that protection whenever they choose. And so that issue has come up repeatedly for the last few years. And I believe we have a video soon to show some of the more personal stories of the Gwich'in people.
This country imports 1/2 of the oil we consume, 8 million barrels a day. We spend $57 million to import oil. ANWR has to be part of that policy, because if it isn't, this nation does not have an energy policy.
if they're going to do it up there, why don't they be honest and say everything's open, it's so important to the country, we're starting to drill Yellowstone tomorrow.
You don't know what wilderness is, except some yuppies come in here and say, oh, wouldn't it be great if we could set it aside for wilderness? Now that's who you're talking about setting aside Alaska for, the very, very wealthy of the United States.
It seems, Mr. Chairman, that what you would like is a risk-free environment, either from nature or from man, and you're never going to achieve that. Man probably can control the environment a little better than nature apparently does.
It is unfortunate that we're still having this discussion about whether to develop the 1002 area in Alaska.
And I know what I'm talking about. The Arctic Plain is really nothing. You say it's not the heart. It is not the heart. It is not the heart. But the reality is this area should be drilled. I've been fighting this battle for 39 years.
We've got a battle in front of us. The fight is on, and we are not backing down.
You environmentalists always portray this ANWR out there as beautiful as Colorado with the mountains and everything and the vistas and this and that. But in actuality, what you are talking about is tundra, known in most parlance as wasteland. There's nothing out there. It's a virtual plain. As far as the eye can see, there's nothing out there.
We are raised to protect the area. To us, it's not work, it's livelihood. It's, who we are, it's our life. And like some people would call it activism, but we're just trying to protect our way of life. This is People magazine from 1989, and this is our traditional chief. Alaska's Gwich'in Indians have lived undisturbed for 10,000 years. Now America's energy needs threaten the tribe's survival. I went to a summit and they were all like, the Gwich'in been standing up to one of the biggest governments in the world for 28 years, and there's what, 8,000 of us. Honestly, I'm not the same person I was when I started. The Western world really took a huge impact on a lot of us, and I wasted a lot of time, and it's time for me to do my part. That's the coastal plain. That's the sacred area to us. That's where we have always been told to protect by our elders.
And what are the red dots to the left?
These are where they're drilling.
I don't know if people really understand the history of Alaska Native people with our government. I didn't speak Gwich'in growing up because my mother was hit for speaking it, and she didn't think that it meant much. That generation was told to be ashamed of everything that makes us who we are, of our beliefs, of our language, of the way we eat and what we eat.
Right, nationwide, native stand side by side. Gotta stop the drilling, save the caribou. That's what it's all about.
I lost my brother to suicide in 2006, February 7th. So then I started, I drank every single day. I don't know, I just went down the wrong path. From there, I just kind of just lost myself, and I wasn't always a good mom. And I just feel like I'm doing this also for them in a big, huge way. And I just feel like I gained their respect back.
My mother and my grandparents, despite having gone through everything that they went through, they did instill in myself and my brothers such a strong sense of be proud of who you are and who we are beautiful people. The Gwich'in gathering is that time that we as a Gwich'in nation get to unite and we get to address the issues that we're facing and to know that it's okay. You're going to fall down, but we're going to be here to help you stand back up.
Creator, thank you for this beautiful, blessed day. Thank you for all the love and beauty in our lives. I just ask that you bless our travels and all of our relatives that are traveling by boat and by air, and that you bring a sense of peace and calm to us as we travel. We look forward to the smiles and the laughter and the sense of peace of celebrating this life, of celebrating our connection and our relationship to the land and ancestors. And we just ask that you alleviate any anxiousness or nervousness that we might have, to be present in the moment and to truly enjoy this experience of life.
Just coming back, you just remember, everything just comes back. It's just like your heart starts beating again.
The Gwich'in Nation came together in 1988, and our people hadn't gathered like that for over 100 years. And that urgency for that meeting to happen was the question of oil development in the 1002 section of the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, which is the coastal plain. At that meeting, they decided that for certain our fate is tied to the health and well-being of the porcupine caribou herd, and that we've had this spiritual relationship for thousands of years, and that we had to stand strong on protecting this place.
My name is Sarah James, and I'm a Gwich'in Athabascan from Arctic Village, Alaska. I'm here on behalf of all my Gwich'in people with the direction of our elders. For too many and too long, this has been an issue of environment versus energy, and no one wanted to hear about the Gwich'in. We used to be tucked away, way up north, in no man's land, until this threat of the development came to our attention, that we have to come forward and say this part of the world is special to us.
We're always been here, never came from anywhere. We're not going anywhere, we're here to stay. We need people to go out and educate the world. We need to choose people right here, right now, that's going to do that for us.
We, as Gwich'in people, need to find our traditional culture again. And we've always been told that what befalls the caribou befalls the Gwich'in.
There have been times where I have broke down crying, walking those hard marble floors in Washington, D.C., because we shouldn't even have to be fighting for our human rights in this manner. Our community very much depends upon that herd to this day, just as we have for thousands of years. And so it's a human rights issue. It's a food security issue for the Gwich'in communities, for the Gwich'in Nation. And that is why we have been so forthright over a 30-year period of time now, trying to protect this place.
The porcupine caribou herd goes there to have their calving grounds. That's when their next generation comes.
Every spring, the porcupine caribou go up there, and within a 2-week period of time, they're gonna have up to 40,000 calves on that area. And that's a miracle. That's a huge deal. And as a woman, I know what it's like to give birth, to bring another being into this world. And we need a refuge. There is a spiritual element to this. There is that spiritual foundation. There's something else at stake here that maybe we can't see.
If you take me to the city and you think I'm gonna survive, I wouldn't know how to survive. I can't go into the store and hunt. I don't have no money to buy anything.
What we're up against is a mentality that puts money above everything else. The symbolism of getting into a place like the coastal plain of the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge is you are sending a very clear message that there really aren't permanently protected areas, because at the end of the day, we need to make money and we need that oil. And that is not true. That is something that's been sold to us and that we keep believing.
Carry this fire and take it home to your own community. It didn't start now, it started thousands of years ago.
I don't want my kids to lose who they are. I don't want to lose who I am.
The domino effect on the opposite end is that we start losing this battle in how we view the world. It's an indigenous worldview versus this very Western view of our Mother Earth and what these resources are there for.
When times get hard for me, I remember that I have a whole nation of people that are depending on me, and so giving up is not an option. I feel like I failed my people. And that's the last thing I want to do. It's not always easy, like, it scares me, and I want to be able to tell my kids that I've done everything I could for them. I don't want them to ask me later on down years ahead when, you know, the drastic changes start happening, and they ask me, Mom, what did you do? When you could have done something, did you do anything? I want to be able to say yes.
I want you to imagine you wake up because your phone's buzzing because you're getting 31 text messages. And it's the 10:02, Systems Cleared, a national monument. What is that going to feel like?
The Gwich'in Nation from Alaska, the Yukon, and the Northwest Territories at the 14th Biannual Gwich'in Gathering hereby declare that we will come together in unity, strength, and leadership to address the issues facing our people. We assert our inherent right to govern ourselves as a Gwich'in Nation. We must stand strong in our identity, a foundation of which is the caribou. We will stand together and encircle our vision of the future and ensure its delivery into the world through our youth.
Let us rise and stand together for the sending song.
Amen.
Right now, I invite you to look around. If you've been on a trip to CCS, will you please raise your hand? If that experience changed your life, raise your other hand. I want you to look around, brothers and sisters, at the impact you're having on not just the next generation, but even on yourselves. When you empower us and enable us to take these students to CCS, you allow us to change the world. And so I want to thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And now, as you leave this space, I invite you to sit and grab one of the students and listen to their story. But I expect you to open your minds and to listen to them challenge you, for them to ask you to get involved, to ask you to stand with us as we stand with all First Nation people. Go in love, go in peace, and buy some flowers. Amen.